What's up, everyone? Shoe Booty Sports coming at you Tuesday night per the usual time and place. This is your host, Graham Powell, co-host over there, Bradley Brown. Say what's up, Brad.
What's happening?
A little more than last week. Had some, it was a slow sports week last week, but we're back with some slightly more interesting stuff this week. Nice hat, by the way. You're Razorback-tastic over there.
Yep. Try to be.
For those of you watching on Spotify and YouTube. All right, y'all know the drill. Quick shout out to our sponsor. Shoe Booty Sports is presented by Rhino Races. Rhino Races is a virtual race series that offers 5 different races: a 5K, a 10K, a half marathon, a marathon, and the Rhino Ultra. You can sign up for one or all 5 of their races at rhinoraces.com. Run your race at your convenience. Track it with your fitness app of choice. Screenshot your results as proof of completion. Submit that screenshot to rhinoraces.com under the submit results section. Once your results are verified by Rhino Races staff, your award will be shipped to you by mail. Also, check out their gear section for t shirts, wristbands, decals, and more. That's rhinoraces.com. Rhino Races is the premier virtual running series. And you can find us, Shoe Booty Sports, on Spotify, Apple, and Google Podcasts for now. Subscribe to the YouTube channel and follow us on X at Shoe Booty Sports. Okay. Razorback game going on at the moment. They got a win Saturday against a winless in the SEC Missouri team. They're playing another bad team tonight in Vanderbilt, another team they should beat. Looks like they're taking care of business right now, Arkansas, that is. So, I mean, they're at least winning the games they should win, even though those are few and far between this season, unfortunately. But the team has gotten better, I guess.
Hmm. Ah, yeah, I guess. They're playing for the full 40 minutes. So,
They are. It's now, granted, they're not playing in Tennessee. You play a team like that, they're going to lose by 30.
yeah.
But they're at least taking care of business tonight in the games that they're supposed to win. Jerry Stackhouse going to be back at Vanderbilt next season. I'd be a little surprised if he was.
I mean, who else are they going to get?
Vanderbilt can be good at basketball. They've shown that
Yeah.
in the past. They can be good. Like at their absolute peak, I could see them as like a Sweet 16 team. Like that's their bet. Like, and that's, I'm not saying consistently, but they could do that. They could make the tournament, every couple of years, 2, 3 years, and have that one like special season every, I don't know, 10, 15. I could see them being, I mean, they could do that. They were that in the 90s. Of course, that was a long time ago now.
Yeah.
Hogs could do that in the 90s, but they have done that recently. So they were in the Sweet 16 last season. So, all right, we'll touch up a little bit more on the game here in a bit. Like I said, got the Missouri win against Missouri on Saturday, but uh, switching to the women's side, college basketball, Caitlin Clark will soon be the all-time record holder, men's and women's scoring leader. Going to pass. She's got one more person to pass. I can't remember the guy's name, but Pistol Pete, the all-time leading scorer.
I have heard of that guy.
Yeah, few of us have. Caitlin Clark's closing in on it. She's like 59 points away, something like that. And there's a couple more regular season games. She'll break it, I'm sure, before the Big Ten tournament. But even then, you got the Big Ten tournament, and then you got the NCAA tournament. But I think she'll break it before the end of the regular season. They play next tomorrow night. I can't remember against who, but they do play tomorrow night, and they have a big one Sunday afternoon against number 2 Ohio State. Ohio State came back and beat them. Iowa, that is, at Ohio State, but this one's at Iowa. So I will hopefully be able to record that one because I'll be at the Little Rock Marathon. So I will at the very least, miss the first half, I'm sure, because I'll still be running when they're playing, when they tip off. But hopefully I'll get to see that. But that's the big game over the weekend. Women's college basketball. Got the Iowa women taking on Ohio State at Iowa this time. So I would pick Iowa in that. But anyway, Caitlin Clark, about to be the all-time leader in scoring, men's or women, but she's had 4 years to do it. Pistol Pete did it in 3. He did it in 3 years without a three-point line. So just to put things into perspective. And
Pretty impressive.
yeah, so it's video game stuff, but there was a lot made about because of course Pistol Pete's kids or kid Jason, I believe is his name. Yeah, it was Jason. I remember because it was spelled different. It was like Jaeson. So that's the only reason I remember it. But he was asked about his thoughts on it, and a lot of people kind of I don't know made a big deal out of it, almost putting a negative twist on it on what he said. Like you read the headline, you'd think he was bashing her, and all essentially what he said was, "Well, I have it right here." The circumstances are so different. This is a direct quote, by the way, that it's hard to say it's really the same record. Jason said, "I don't want to make it seem like I'm bashing her because I'm not. I just find it to be an apples to oranges comparison." And actually, and he goes on to praise her, talking about she's must see TV, things like that. I have no problem with what he said. It is apples to oranges. Pistol Pete did it in 3 seasons without a three-point line. Caitlin Clark is doing it in 4. That doesn't change the fact that you're still the NCAA all-time leading scorer, though. I mean, yeah, you can say, yeah, he did it in 3 and all that, but still, the record's the record, you know. And this was when freshmen weren't allowed to play, on the varsity squad. So that's why, if anyone's wondering. It wasn't that he left to go pro early or anything like that. The freshmen weren't allowed on the varsity squad back then. So there you go. But just to put things kind of into perspective, got like I said, Pistol Pete played in an era when freshmen weren't yet varsity eligible. And for the 3 seasons that he did play at LSU, Pete Marovich averaged 44.2 points per game. This is despite not having the benefit of a three-point line or a shot clock. There was no 25-second shot clock back then. Again, to put things into perspective. By contrast, Caitlin Clark has averaged 28.3 points per game in 3+ seasons at Iowa, and she will need at least 128 games to match the number of points that Pete Maravich scored in 83 games. So they play more games now, and so I think it's a very fair thing to say. Yeah, we're pretty much comparing apples to oranges here.
Yeah.
But still, the record's the record. We're not. You could apply that to any sport. I don't know. I don't know. Well, what I won't use the rushing because I was going to say Eric Dickerson did it in 14 games, I believe it was. Set the single season rushing record. I think it was in 14. I can't recall. Might have been 16. Or OJ Simpson did it in 14 games. I know that. But we don't have a bell cow back anymore in the NFL, so that record will probably continue to stand for a long time. But passing, somebody's going to break Manning's or Brady's passing record, single season passing record, whoever holds it now. I don't even know anymore. But as they continue to add games, records are going to get broken. We're not going to say, well, he did it in this many games, so this is why we're going to say it's different. No, the record holder is the record holder. We do the same thing with Babe Ruth and Roger Maris, and now Bonds, and that's a whole other topic. But that was the discussion then. Is it legitimate because Maris didn't hit 61 in the same amount of games that Babe Ruth did? No, he hit 61. He's the record holder. Although I don't think MLB acknowledged that until after Roger Maris died, which is unfortunate. But the record's the record. But having said that, I have no issue with what he said. I completely agree with it, actually. But all the headlines are so misleading about it. They want you to think like there's conflict here, and really, he didn't say anything other than the obvious.
Makes for a better story.
It's clickbait. I mean, that's all it is. It's clickbait. It's a way to get you to click on the story. And I had no desire to click on the story until I was looking. I was like, well, I do want to talk about this, but I need a little more info on it. So let me actually read one of these stories. Okay. And before this game started, the Arkansas uh, Vanderbilt took me a minute. I wanted to say Missouri, the Arkansas Vanderbilt game. I was watching and I'm surprised it took me this long to turn it on. I was watching the Club Shay Shay interview with Johnny Manziel. I've I've wanted I've wanted to watch the Cat Williams episode just because I've heard so many things about it. But
Yeah.
seeing all the clips I have of Johnny Manziel, I was like, I gotta sit down and watch this episode. I
I've
watched
only
the
seen one clip, so
well, I sat down, I found the whole episode. You can find the whole thing on YouTube, the entire episode. Of course, you can listen to it on Spotify, but I want to watch it. Yeah, I want to actually see the thing. And yeah, I've watched the first 40 minutes of it. I turned it off to turn this game on and also to come do this podcast. But very intriguing stuff so far. Very intriguing stuff. Uh very much looking forward to watching the rest of it. And you get the real Johnny Manziel. Like you're not getting uh I don't know, like a pre what am I trying to say? A PR person got a hold of him and
the Netflix version.
yeah, there you go. Sure. We'll go with that. I mean, you're getting the unedited, authentic Johnny Manziel in this, and it's really good stuff so far. And they talk about pretty much everything. They talk or growing up in Texas high school, growing up in Texas, his time there. Started out as a baseball guy, and I could see that in his game as a football player. You see
Oh yeah.
that in you see that in all the greats. You see that in Patrick Mahomes. I won't say all the greats, but you see that in Patrick Mahomes. You see that in Kyler Murray's game.
Yep.
I mean, Tom Brady. Tom Brady was a baseball player. Not a shortstop like Mahomes or Kyler Murray. You didn't see that, but you could tell. I know you could see it. The really good quarterbacks tend to be baseball players. Matt Stafford played baseball.
Now, Brady was a pitcher, right?
I believe so. Yeah, I think he could hit too.
I would
I
assume
don't know.
so. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's the best player on your high school baseball team is usually a pitcher that can also hit. He can also rake. So it's interesting so far. I did click on one clip today before turning on the full episode, and he was talking about Manti Te'o, and the headline was essentially kind of clickbait, like he's going to talk about the catfishing thing, and I think Shannon Sharpe even asked that, but Johnny Manziel was nothing but he basically like, yeah, I hung out with him, his family, cool people, cool guy. Didn't know anything about all that till like well after the Heisman ceremony, which was true. So I guess he doesn't really have anything to say there about it. But good stuff so far. I'm looking forward to watching the rest of it, and I'm sure I'll tune into the Cat Williams one at some point. But the Johnny Manziel one was one in particular that I wanted to watch. Uh, and he wasn't. I couldn't tell you what Johnny Manziel is doing now. I'm sure he will probably get into that. The Netflix version, the Netflix documentary movie about him, whatever you want to call it. He wasn't doing anything but living in Scottsdale and trying to figure out his life.
I thought he was playing in the Canadian Football League.
He did for like a season that I know of, and the stats were terrible. I mean, you look at the stats; he wasn't any good. He was smoking a blunt on the sideline in between a series, something like that. But it's the CFL. It's it's what it is. If you're allowed to do that, okay, sure. And plus, he said he's gone on record saying I have no desire to put in the work to be great at football anymore. And he said that before while he was playing that, which whatever, it's his life.
Yeah.
He does say in the Shannon Sharpe sit down, he does say in the within the first 40 minutes I watched that his dream he had already lived his dream. He went and won the Heisman Trophy, and he got drafted and started for an NFL team. To him, in his mind, he had reached his dream. Anything else was extra. So, it wasn't his dreams weren't the same as Tom Brady or Peyton Manning or Patrick Mahomes. In his mind, he had made it. He had done it. So, but it's an interesting interview. One I look forward to finishing. Highly doubt I'll finish it tonight because it's a good 2 hour interview. But
Dang.
it's a good 2 hour sit down. But it's been very good stuff so far, and I do look forward to watching the rest of it. But it seems like he's got his life together. He's got his head on straight. They sip some kind of liquor there, at least a glass of it during the interview. But Johnny Manziel does not. I'm saying the guests typically do. Johnny Manziel's just drinking water. So I don't know if he's riding the sober train. I'd heard that he is, but I mean, good for him. I got all the drinks going on at the moment. I got my water there. Broke out a mango drink for tonight. 100% mango juice. As I've talked to you
Where'd
about,
you
where
where'd you find that?
Trader Joe's, but
Of
it's
course.
nothing like the mango juice that we had. It doesn't
Man.
come close. We had the greatest thing that I've ever tasted in my life in Paris, at the equivalent of like a 7-Eleven in Paris. And I've been chasing that. I've been chasing that dragon, white rhino, whatever we want to call it, great white buffalo. I've been looking for it ever since that taste, and I can't find anything that can even come close to replicating or duplicating it.
It was good.
It was delicious. It was the greatest beverage I had ever tasted. I liked it more than you, but gosh, it was so good. But
I loved it, but yeah. I was pretty disappointed we could never find it again. But yeah, that's some good stuff.
we're gonna have to Google it, like, or I mean, do some serious research on it.
Yeah.
But I've got to find a way to get that to my place here in the States. But yeah, the equivalent of like a 7-Eleven in downtown Paris. We find this just nectar of the gods coming from mangoes, and can't find anything like it here in the States. Okay, back to sports now. All right, let's Peter King, longtime columnist, 44 years. Peter King announced his retirement after 44 years. Doing what he did at the highest of levels, Hall of Fame type of career. First ballot if they do that for them. But I wouldn't know. I was only in the reporting game for 5 years, and I was nothing. I wasn't anywhere near as good as Peter King, but he did in his final column. That's where he announced his retirement in his last column. I assume it's his last column because why else would you say you're retiring? But he had hinted at the Bears possibly trading the number one pick. And he said, I have no insight to this or anything like that. It's just a feeling that the things seem to be going that direction, is essentially what he said. That the Bears are looking to trade the number one overall pick. And he had even thrown out suggestions of trading it to Washington and then taking Washington's or picks and then or taking Washington's pick in that position and then trading that even down and just acquiring all these picks and still getting like the number 8 overall pick. But you'd have a lot of picks for next season. I don't see Matt Eberflus wanting to sign on to that, considering he's coaching for his job this year, and considering the Bears have, I mean, what's been the Bears' history? You passed on Patrick Mahomes. You passed on Deshaun Watson before he got in, trouble, who was pretty damn good with Houston. But you passed on Patrick Mahomes. You passed on Deshaun Watson. You draft Mitch Trubisky. How's that going? Or how did that go, by the way? So
Terribly.
if you're the Bears and you've not had a franchise quarterback in really my lifetime, our lifetime, I mean, who would you say was Cutler, Jay Cutler?
Yeah, Cutler is the only one that comes to mind.
I mean, do you really do that? Do you really pass on the possibility of drafting Caleb Williams? And here's the thing: like, you're going to get Caleb Williams on a rookie deal. If you're saying, I mean, you're essentially, if you do that, you're saying Justin Fields, you're our guy. That's essentially what you're saying. You're
Yep.
going to have to pay him after next season. You're not going to have a rookie deal after this season. You put all your eggs in you give all your eggs and basket to Caleb, or excuse me, to Justin Fields. Yeah. After next season, you're gonna have to pay the guy. You're gonna have to pay him. I don't know what you pay him or what he would go for, 40, 50 million, because
A year?
the
I don't
salary
think
caps
so.
go well, the salary cap's going up. Salary cap's going up. NFL profits are at an all-time high. So teams are, I mean, their salary caps are all going to be able to expand. And with that, quarterbacks are going to want more money. I mean, I wouldn't pay Justin Fields that kind of money, but
No, I don't think anybody would. But
I wouldn't say anybody. Somebody might. Because I mean, he's not a bad quarterback, but is he your franchise for the next 10 years? No, I don't see that. I don't see, even though I really like Peter King and he gets and deserves a lot of credibility. Surely the Bears don't do that. Now, I wouldn't be shocked if they did, but surely the Bears don't pass on this opportunity right here. Like, you have a chance to go draft Caleb Williams, who's as good of a prospect as we've seen in the last, I don't know, 2, 3 years.
yeah,
You have a chance to get a franchise quarterback, a guy that you can build around. I don't see, I don't see them passing on that. Do you? Do you see any? I mean, there's a chance because they're apparently floating the idea, and they've not reached out to Caleb Williams and his crew saying, "Hey, you're our guy." So
Williams is so against going to the Bears. It's not even funny. So I don't know. I mean, why bring in a guy who doesn't want to be there in the first place?
because he's the
I know
he's the
because
best
he's the
prospect.
top pick. Yeah, I
Yeah,
know.
because he's the best prospect. That's why you do it. You can sell him once you get there. I mean, it's not like Chicago. I mean, Chicago field wise, conditions, organization, not the best one to play for. But the city of Chicago is a pretty great place to be. So you can sell him once you get him there. But I don't think that. I mean, Jim Kelly didn't want to go to Buffalo,
True.
and now he lives there. Is beloved there. So you can sell him on all that until he pulls a Elway or Eli Manning and just say, "I'm not playing for you." Then I'm taking him no matter what, and I would still take him no matter what because he can't go play baseball that I know of. So I'm taking him no matter what. And if somebody wants to give me an offer I can't refuse, sure, that's fine. But I don't think Kate. But even though I've heard that he has no interest in going there, I don't think that's been said or really that hasn't been put out there by Caleb Williams and his people
Yeah, it has.
officially. Maybe his dad, but I
The
mean they're
beginning
not
of the
saying
season, right? He said he could possibly play another year in college if the Bears were gonna be,
he
or if
did
a
he didn't say the
he didn't say the
Bears.
Bears. He said if he's gonna go somewhere and lose for the first 3 years, he might as well just stay in college for another year. But then again, that's not how the draft works. You go to the best prospect goes to the worst team.
That was his dad saying that too, though. By the way,
Oh,
Caleb Williams never came out and actually said that. If the Bears drafted Caleb Williams, I think pardon me, Caleb Williams would go play for the Bears. I don't think there'd be much of a gripe there. Maybe behind the scenes, I'm sure, yeah. And considering you haven't exactly had the greatest of offensive weapons over the years in that organization, I mean, when was the last 1,000-yard receiver that the Bears have had? Can you think of one?
no.
Yeah, I kind of there's no kind of I can see why Caleb Williams and company wouldn't be the most excited to go play for that franchise. They're not exactly doing things very well. That's why you're in the position that you're in. But if you're the Bears, you got to draft it.
Yeah.
If you do give that pick up, what would it take for you to give that pick up? I could see Washington possibly making a move, which I mean, you really got to like him if you're going to give up that much to move one spot up.
5 first-round picks in next year's draft.
5. What was Elway? What did they give up for Elway? Or the price tag that the GM floated out there was something along the lines like 3 first-round picks, 2 second-rounders, and a third-rounder, something along those lines.
Yeah.
I would probably be asking for something similar.
Yeah, I'd say 3 and 3. Yeah. 3 in the first, 3 in the second.
And I don't know if you'll get 3 in the second, but like 3 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks, and a third-round pick, I would take that.
Yeah.
Even like a 2 second rounders and like a fourth or fifth round, I'd probably take that too. But the asking price would be the first. All right, so shout into my microphone there. Sorry, folks at home, but or on the road, however you're listening to us. Okay, so I've seen a bunch of headlines pop up for golf. Uh, Taylor Gooch being one, and I only recall that just because of his name. I find his name funny. There's live golf talk, things like that. Give us a golf update, Brad. This is your segment. Rock it out.
Let's see. Well, this past weekend, the Mexican Open took place. 29-year-old former security guard Jake Knapp won that tournament.
Nat.
Um, Knapp, like I took a nap this afternoon.
Okay.
Jake Knapp.
Is it spelled just
Um,
like nap, or is there like an extra P or
it
something?
starts with a K.
Oh, of course it does.
Yeah. Other golf news: Capital One had their 4th or 5th rendition of the match. This is the first time the LPGA was involved. It was usually they're teamed up with celebrities like Mahomes and Kelsey and some other people. I think they had Manning and Brady on one. Uh, this year it
McElroy
was,
was in this one, right?
yeah, McElroy. It was McElroy, Max Homa, Lexi Thompson, and Rose Zhang were the 4 participants. It was they were not team based. It was all individual, all for charity. They played 12 holes at nighttime on a lit course down in Florida, which was pretty cool. I'd love to go play some night golf if I ever get the chance. Um, you did see a lot of missed putts. I take it that's just because of the lighting out there. But yeah, it looked like the golfers had a good time. It was a little boring to watch. Um, I say compared to the other ones. But yeah, hopefully the next one they'll continue to involve the LPGA players, um, give them some more limelight. And in some other big news, Anthony Kim, aka a fan favorite long ago, is playing in the Live tournament this week in, I believe it's Saudi Arabia. He has not played professionally since 2012, where he had to get his Achilles repaired. Um,
Oof.
Fans have been wanting him back for a long time, but he's kind of really shown no interest over the years. But Liv talked him into coming and being a wild card in their match this weekend, so that'll be something to look forward to.
Yeah,
I
money
probably still
talks.
won't
That's how
tune in
they.
because it's a one. They signed him for a weekend, so see how it goes. If they end up signing him in the long run, but
I'll say, but I talked him into it. Money talked him into it, I'm sure.
yes,
And Live Golf has lots of that. So good for him. Good for him getting a payday. Good for Live Golf making more news, I guess.
I have no idea why Gooch was in the news. I missed that this weekend.
I saw it on the headline and then clicked on the story. Did not read any of the story, just looked at the name and just had my inner chuckle. And then I
Yeah,
kept going with the research for tonight's topics. I did watch the last two, the matches, whatever. I don't know how to say that. I watched the last two versions of the match. There you go. With Brady and Rogers against Mahomes and Allen. And I say that I didn't. I only watched that one. I plan to watch the one with Steph and whoever else was involved. Just because, yeah, Charles Barkley and Draymond were on there doing commentary. I
yeah.
did plan on watching that, but I did not. So, okay, I only watched one of those. All
Yeah,
right.
they
So,
always have Chuck on there, so
yes. And I mean, that in itself is worth tuning in for. Okay. But let's go back to basketball, NCAA basketball. And the, I don't know, I guess the NCAA bigwigs are discussing court storming and how they can stop that from happening in the future. And I
you
don't know
can't.
how, yeah, exactly. I don't know how you enforce that. Jay Billis said, easy, just detain everyone. Okay, well, that's sounds nice, but
Just
I'm
put up
sure
a cage around the court. There
yeah,
you
I'm
go.
sure the cops are going to have no problem bringing in 894 students after a big win and booking. Imagine booking all of that and charging them. And I don't know how you charge. What do you charge them with? Uh, Lewd conduct. I don't know. I don't know what the legal.
Trespassing.
Sure, I guess. I I don't know, see any way that you enforce that. And this has happened. It was a little bit discussed when Caitlin Clark got ran into by an, I think it was an Ohio State fan. But even then, and as much as I like Caitlin Clark, watching the footage, I was like, she flopped a little
A
bit.
little bit of a flop. Yeah.
She flopped a little bit. But so I didn't see much there, and she was fine. And this Duke player, and of course a friend of mine.
He, he got hit pretty hard in his knee, so
Yeah, I haven't watched it. People are saying that he like initiated the contact, something like that. I don't know.
no.
I haven't seen it, so I'm not saying that happened. I didn't go back and watch, but all this uproar is from. I mean, because it's Duke. I mean, but you think Duke would be used to this, right? Because anytime a team beats Duke, even though Wake Forest was favored in that game by 2 points, if you beat Duke, it's a big deal. I believe Arkansas stormed the court when we
Yeah.
beat Duke this season, or when they beat Duke this season. We were, of course, overseas for that and didn't get to see it, but yeah, I believe the Razorbacks stormed the court. And that's kind of funny because I heard that talked about. I heard that comparison. They put like a string up to try to get the student section back, and we see how that worked out. But uh, there's no way to enforce that. And Jim Boeheim was asked about it, and I thought he had a 100% take on it as far as like something I agreed with. Just they've been doing this forever, and no one's gotten seriously hurt, and there's no way that you can stop it anyway. And it's an he didn't say this part, I'm adding to it, but it's an exciting thing. It's something we all grew up watching after a big win, March Madness, conference tournaments, especially at the smaller schools. When your school punches their ticket to the NCAA tournament and you're going for the first time, or for the first time in 20 years or whatever, the fans storm the court. It's a big deal. And no one's seriously gotten hurt. So I don't know how bad the Duke player got hurt, but I saw the
Probably
coach
just a
making
sprain.
yeah, I saw the coach making a big deal about it after, and I get it. You're sticking up for your guy and all that. And I have no problem with the NCAA trying to come up with a solution to this. I just don't know what solution you come up with. Can you think of anything whatsoever? So a way to stop it or
Unless you
slow
make
it down?
the student section all in the upper deck.
Yeah, and you don't want that.
Nope.
I mean, that's part of the beauty of college basketball. Yeah, cool with you exploring or talking about it. I just don't see a way you enforce it. Another thing that was discussed, though, NCAA did discuss expanding the tournament, going from 68 teams to as high as 96. Thoughts on that? So, like, everybody
Wow.
gets in.
Yeah.
Money,
Don't. No
money.
more expansions, man. No more expansions.
Yeah, why is money? Like that's the only reason. It's not that they said something about they want to be more inclusive. They want to give more teams an opportunity. 68 teams isn't that's not enough. You can go over the Missouri Tigers can win the SEC tournament. They haven't won an SEC game all season. They could get hot somehow and win the SEC tournament and get into the NCAA tournament automatically just like that. If that's
Yeah.
not giving you as being all inclusive and giving you as much of a chance as possible, I don't know what is. Uh, I also heard Jim Boeheim was even asked this, and he said, the his response was, "It never hurt like expanding. It never hurt expanding the tournament. It used to be 12 teams back in the John Wooden days, and he was against expanding then. And I would, of course, obviously rather have 64, 68 than 12. But when you get to 96, at that point, if you don't get in the NCAA tournament, you should just fire your coach after
Yep.
that season. It should just be an automatic. All right, you're fired. I'm good with 68. Let's keep it there for now. So I'm completely good with that. All right, let's wrap things up. All right, quick Arkansas baseball update. They were stomping Grambling today, by the way. But that I want to talk about Hagen Smith's 17
20 to
strikeouts and
nothing.
okay, 20-0. But I want to talk. That's a game they should win. I want to talk about Hagen Smith's 17 strikeouts against Oregon State. Whatever day that was. When was that? Last week?
I think it's Saturday.
Okay, Saturday. So technically
Five.
last week.
Yeah. 5 innings straight of just striking everyone he's seen out.
Yeah.
Stupid.
And it ended up being a close game, but Arkansas pulled
Yeah.
it out, closed it out late. And uh let's see. All right, do we want to do an NCAA tournament? Early favorites?
Man, who's it gonna be? Like what? Purdue.
I got South Carolina women, I got the Yukon men
Okay, yeah.
as far as favorites.
Yeah.
And
I think
uh
Vegas would agree with you on that one.
probably so. And the Little Rock Marathon is this weekend. Me and my brother will be running Sunday, 26.2 miles. I'm back in the marathon game Sunday, so I look forward to that. Big party out in Little Rock. What are you going to be doing? You going to be golfing?
Maybe I might squeeze in some golf, but I get to go do some soccer practice with my little niece in Tulsa, so that should be fun.
Okay, curveball thrown
Get,
at us
get
there.
to kick the old foosball around.
Right on. But until then, we'll see y'all next week. This is Grand Pal.
Brother Brown.
Deuces, y'all.
Peace.